What's up guys, JohnOrigins. Today got a Pokemon Showdown replay, but this one is a bit special, it's a bit different. Recently I signed up for a tournament called the GBA D-League, and what that is a round robin tournament where eight groups of 4 battle it out in a round robin scenario so that they can advance into the finals, which is the D-League itself. I think this is like a qualifying stage, if you will. I think it takes the form of an American sport. No idea which one. I assume NBA if it's GBA, but whatever, I don't care. I'm here to play Pokemon. So the group I got paired up with, it's me, the guy I'm facing today called GargleFlop, Sharp Dress Gaming, and then the Crit Magnet. Pretty powerful group. I've only played this one game at the moment, but I figured get the narration done while the game's still fresh in my head, because it's a pretty good game, very interesting. And what this the tournament is you pick 9 Pokemon. It's sort of like a draft thing, I would say. And then from the 9 Pokemon that you picked, you can pick 6 to start the game off, and you can see your opponent's 9 Pokemon before the start of the league or the game. So you get to pick based on that. So what I've done, I picked Hydreigon, Amoonguss, Florges, Landorus, T, Heatran, and Cresselia. My other 3 that I didn't use were, I think it was Azumarill, Jirachi, and Gligar. My opponent here has got Gyarados, Toxicroak, Bastiodon, Salamence, Weezing, and Exploud. I don't think he picked Venomoth, Celebi, and then Alakazam. I was getting prepared for that because he did have a lot of psychic types. He did have a lot of things weak to Hydreigon, so I definitely brought that along for the ride. And I also bought Crest because he only had Bastiodon, which could stop Cresselia from really sweeping. And once I got rid of that, I'll be fine. That's exactly why I bought Landorus T. So I figured I'd be alright. The only threats on his team that I was looking at were his Gyarados, because if that gets up to +2, it could outspeed and destroy my whole team. If he had Waterfall, Bounce, and Ice Fang, he would literally just win. I would have no chance. But let's get into the game and see how this goes. I have got this fancy little layout for you guys, and it'll show the sets of what my Pokemon are as we go into the battle. So I'm going to lead off with my Choice Scarf Hydreigon, as my opponent leads off with his Toxicroak. I was going to drop a Draco or go for an Earth Power, but I wasn't sure if he was Assault Vest or if I would kill. I don't have a 100% chance to kill Toxicroak, so I switch out into my Cresselia. He makes a good play. He goes for a knockoff, expecting my Cresselia. Unfortunately, he does get the crit, meaning he did over 60%, kind of forcing me to recover up there with the Moonlight. I would have liked to go for the T-Wave, but oh well. But as the Bastio comes in, I'm going to expect the Stealth Rock, so I'm just going to bring in my Landorus. But he ends up going for the Taunt, which kind of stops my Landorus because I have a Sword Stance Fly set, Sub SD Fly, which is kind of amazing. But here I go for the T-Wave on the on the Bastio with my Cresselia, and I get the T-Wave Paralysis. A little note that you need to keep in mind: this game was very hacksy, as he gets paralyzed for a second time. So please keep that in mind. And now, as I predict the Weezing, I'm going to go for the substitute with my Landorus. I am a sub SD set, so I'm hoping to do a lot of work. I know Weezing cannot break my sub, but I play this very poorly, this section of the game. So here I'm going to go for the Fly. What I really should have done is maybe get up to +4 with my Sword Stance, and then as he broke my sub, go for another sub on the following turn, and then go for the Fly. I would have been able to knock out the Weezing with 1 hit, and I would have been behind a sub. But now I have to set up a sub again, and what he can do, he can switch out into an Intimidate user, such as Gyarados or even potentially his Salamence, and then go from there. And unfortunately, I make another bad play, because, I'll pause it here, my Landorus has enough speed investment to outspeed Adamant Gyarados, I think, and it turns out his Gyarados was, I think it was max speed Jolly, so he was able to outspeed my Landorus, and I was expecting him to be an Adamant nature set. One, because he had not enough speed investment. Usually because he had the Intimidate over the Moxie, I thought maybe he didn't have the speed investment, or he was just an Adamant nature one. But it turned out he was max speed Jolly, meaning that he was able to outspeed me, meaning that me going for the Sword Stance here was a pretty poor play, because he was able to break my sub for free, and also it forces me to switch out, meaning that he can get up a Dragon Dance if he wants to, and Gyarados, like I said, is a massive threat to my team if it's able to set up. Now I'm going to switch out into my Amoonguss, as he ends up going for the Taunt, making a decent play. As you can see, he came prepared for my very bulky team, and he has Taunt on Bastiodon and the Gyarados, just, to stop me from setting up and stuff like that. Here I'm going to switch out into my Cresselia. I am specially defensive, but I know I have like enough investment. I also have enough bulk to be able to take on it pretty well. He ends up seeing that, and he switches out into his Bastiodon to take on the hits pretty well. That's fine with me, because what I can do is bring up my Heat around him, because I want to get up my Stealth Rocks. Because that Gyarados is annoying me. The fact that it's so just so powerful, I need to weaken it with Stealth Rocks every time it comes into the field. And also that Salamence, I could take 25% off that, which is very, very good. Here he brings in the Gyarados. I'm going to go back into my Mungus as he sets up the Dragon Dance. And now this is going to be disastrous for me, because as you can see, he does carry the bounce. And this is a really bad play for me, because I get paralyzed, then I get fully paralyzed as I go for the Spore, meaning that Gyarados will stay awake. Now, we already saw his leftovers, I think. So that matters. And then on this turn, he's going to go for the Waterfall, over-predicting. He gets another Para as I go for the Foul Play. I would have done 65% to that Gyarados easy, I think, if it was max attack, which I don't think he was. So he might have done a bit less. He might have done 40%. And then he's able to knock out my Amoonguss with the following bounce, which, you know what? That's pretty horrible for me. And now I'm staring down the face of a +1 Gyarados who can just destroy my team because it is at full HP. But here he makes the play. The player plays, in my opinion. He switches out, right? So I'm going to pause, right? He switched out with a +1 Gyarados on a Cresselia, which only could do 20% to that Gyarados. Now, I kind of understand where he's coming from. He might have wanted to preserve his Gyarados' HP, because he knew that if I weakened it down enough, then Hydreigon could come in, drop a Draco and kill it off. But what he could have done, and probably what he should have done to win the game at that point, was set up another Dragon Dance, get up to +2, guaranteeing him to outspeed my Choice Scarf Hydreigon, and then just start destroying my team, because I literally had 0 things for that Gyarados. But for whatever reason, he chose to switch out, and that really cost him very much. Because I'm going to try and make it so he doesn't get another opportunity to set up. He had the perfect opportunity against my Cresselia, against my Landorus, but he chose to waste it, I would say, and it's really going to come into play. So he brings in this Salamence. I'm going to go for the Psychic. It does a solid amount of damage, and on this turn he ends up revealing the Crunch, which does a lot. I think it might be choice banded, but I haven't calculated with the investment that I have on this Cresselia. And he just goes down to the Ice Beam that I had. I had Ice Beam because he has a Celebi, he had a Salamence, so you know I had to bring it. And then he brings in this Toxicroak. I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to switch into Landorus. If this Toxicroak isn't max speed, I should be able to outspeed it with my Landorus, but unfortunately, he is running a lot of speed investment, and now this Toxicroak is looking like a threat. I had to play around it very, very carefully. As I bring in the Hydreigon, I am just going to play it safe. I'm going to drop a Draco, as Gargle makes the good play. He ends up stacking his Weezing. I missed, of course. The way this game is going, there's a lot of hacks on both sides, so it evens itself out to a degree. But I am able to knock out the Weezing, which wasn't too important, but he does get his free switch into Toxicroak. I am going to play a bit ballsy here. I'm going to go into my Florges to take the Drain Punch, and I'm going to predict him to predict my switch out. So I'm going to go for the Moonblast as he goes for the Knockoff, anticipating my switch out. And what that does, it just gets some nice damage on this thing. And now on the following turn, I know for a fact that my Hydreigon can take a Gunk Shot coming from a Toxicroak, so I'm going to switch right into that. And now I can go for the Earth Power, either to knock out this Toxicroak or to expect the Bastiodon to come in, and I can do a solid amount of damage to it. I end up doing about 75%, that's bloody brilliant. This Bastiodon, I don't think it has any attacking moves, so it's free for my Cresselia to go for the Moonlight to get my HP back, but I expected his switch out here, so I go for the Thunder Wave, because that Bastiodon had no real reason to stay in, because he would have just allowed my Cresselia to get it back up to a solid 68%, meaning that it could take a hit from a Toxicroak, and I could knock it out with the Psychic. It would become a solid switch into the Toxicroak, and I didn't think he'd want to risk his Win Condition's ability to sweep like that, so he'd switch out either into Gyarados, Exploud, or his Toxicroak, and I would catch it with the T-Wave, but that doesn't work out. I go for the T-Wave on the already paralyzed Bastiodon, and then he goes for the Taunt, meaning that I can't recover up, which is really bad. My Cresselia is still chilling at 12%, although I still do want it around because it's Cresselia. Here I was making a bad play. I went for the Ice Beam for no reason. I think I cancelled that play, but it still went through. It was really bad on my part. I really shouldn't have done it. But he does get paralyzed, so I get rewarded a bit. And now I'm going to switch out to my Heatran as he gets paralyzed again. So this is all the hacks on his side, all the power that he's getting on his Bastiodon. And then I can taunt it. And here I think he reveals the Metal Burst, which I don't really count as an attack, but oh well. But I end up going for the Roar. I expected his to switch out into Gyarados, but I end up forcing it out anyway, which is good because I can get some Stealth Rock Sentry damage on him, 25%. He goes for the Waterfall. It literally does nothing, and I'm pretty sure this Gyarados is max speed, max HP. It's so weird, but I end up roaring him out into the worst possible thing. So I'm going to force the switch out. I end up going to my Florges again, and I'm going to continue to make ballsy plays. I'm going to stay in once more and take the Drain Punch and go for another Moonblast. I was kind of sacking Florges at this point because looking at his team, I don't need it. But he ends up over-predicting 3 or 4 times against his Florges, and he loses his Toxicroak. Toxicroak lost 1v1 versus a Florges. That shouldn't happen. And now he brings out his X-Cloud, which I suppose is running speed investment as well to outspeed Florges, or even at its Scarf maybe. But I can just bring in Heatran. He did lock himself into Boom Burst, so I can just go for a couple of Lava Plumes to knock him out. That crit Lava Plume didn't matter because obviously it would have done about 50%. But oh well, crit's a crit, you know. And yeah, I knock out that X-Cloud. He's down to 2, and I'm down to 3. So this game is coming down to the wire a bit. He brings out his Gyarados, and I'm just going to play it safe. I'm going to click Roar because I don't want it setting up. He ends up knocking me out of the Waterfall. I'm okay with that because what I can do now is bring up my Hydreigon and go for game. Because what I should just be able to do now is go for a Draco Meteor as he brings in the Bastiodon. And now I'm going to predict him to go out back into his Gyarados as I switch into Cresselia, because that's the only way he has any real chance of winning the game. Because if he keeps Bastiodon, Gyarados alive, I can only kill one of them with Hydreigon. But I did predict the Gyarados to come back in, knock out the Gyarados, and because the Bastiodon doesn't have any attacking moves, it doesn't even have Stealth Rock, I'm able to switch out into my Cresselia, who's chilling at 12%, and then double back out into my Hydreigon and go for the Air Power, win the game. The Bastiodon was Toxic Taunt, Metal Burst, and Protect, which is a very weird spread. He didn't have Stealth Rocks on his team, which is very, very good for me, because if he had got the 12% every turn, I would have been whittled down so much, and my Cresselia wouldn't have been able to switch in, meaning that I'd only get the 1-0, but I get the 2-0, I get the victory, the first victory of the tournament for me. And that was a good game, GargleFlop. I honestly think you threw it away very early on by switching out Gyarados, but it worked out for me in the end because I was able to get the victory, the first victory of the tournament for me with a solid 2-0, and I suppose good luck for the rest of the tournament. Like I said, you picked 9 Pokemon. It's a very, very cool concept. Yeah, you pick 9 Pokemon and you base it off of that. I've got 3 teams prepared already for my opponents, and bring it on, as they say. I've been JohnOrigins, and I'm out, so peace.